Hi everyone, once again welcome back to my channel. I hope you people are doing good. So in today's video, let's discuss some of the practice questions. So the first question is, lion is related to deer. Similarly, mongoose is for what? So the options are rat, snake, lizard and squirrel. So here the relationship is lion eats deer. Similarly, mongoose eats snake. So the option will be B, snake. And the second one is seismograph is related to earthquake. Similarly, tissiometer is for what? So the options are volcanoes, resistance, landslides and strains. So here seismograph is an instrument to measure intensity of earthquake. Similarly, tissiometer is an instrument to measure strains. So the option will be D, which is strains. So this type of questions can be solved if you have already if you have already learned about the common relationships that can be asked in analogy, as I mentioned in my previous video. So if you haven't uh, studied about that common relationship, please go and once study that relationships, then you will understand and you will easily solve these type of questions. And the third one is radio is to listener. Similarly, film is for what? The options are producer, actor, viewer, and director. So, radio is heard by a man or a woman. So, when radio is heard, the person who is hearing the radio is considered as listener. Similarly, film is watched by a person. So, the person who is watching the film will be considered as a viewer. So, the option is C, viewer. And the fourth one is quack is to duck. Similarly, bellows is related to. Options are cat, frog, bull, and fox. So here, quack is a sound made by duck. Similarly, bull makes the sound of bellows. So the option will be bull. Now the fifth question is 841 is to 29. Similarly, 289 is related to what? So the options are 23, 21, 17 and 13. So here if you consider the first set, that is 841 is to 29. So 29 square is 841. So similarly, we have to find out what square is 287. So here, in order to find out the square of 289, if you have already known about squares, so it will be very easy for you and you will easily identify the answer as 17. So if you don't know what square is 289, then you have to solve that 289 by taking LCM or by taking square roots. So if you want to make the process very easy, it is best to learn square roots and cube roots. So here 289 is the square of 17 and the answer will be 17. And the sixth question is 25 is to 125. Similarly, 36 is for what? So the options are 180, 206, 216, 318. So the relationship here is x square is to x cube. That is, if you consider the first set, 25 is to 125. So these are the squares and cubes of 5. So 5 square is 25 and 5 cube is 125. Similarly, 36 is the square of 6. So the next one, the answer, the question mark will be 6 cube, which is 216. So the answer is option C, 216. So the seventh question is AFHO is to GBDJ. Similarly, CHFM is related to what? So the options are GBIM, GBLD, GPLD, IDBH. So here first let's find out the first set relation, that is AFHO is how related to GBDJ. So here first let us write AFHO, and here if you see, if you add 6 to A, you get G, that is A plus 6 is G and F minus 4 is B. Similarly, H minus 4 is D and O minus 5 is J. So this is the relation between AFHO and GBDJ. So here they have added 6 to first term they have subtracted 4 from second term, and they have separated 4 from third term, and they have separated 5 from fourth term. So here the next second part will also have the same rule, that is first you have to add 6 to C, and you have to subtract 4 from H, and the third term you have to subtract 4, and for fourth one you have to subtract 5. So if you add 6 to C, you will get I, and for H if you subtract 4, you get D, and from F if you subtract 4, you get B, and from N if you subtract 5, you get H. So the answer is IDBH, which is option number D. So in order to solve this, it is very helpful if you have already learnt about the alphabet based questions, and if you have written the alphabets while you are solving any alphabet based question, it will be very easy for you to identify this type of questions and solve them. So the eighth question is, FIELD is related to GJFME. Similarly, SICKLE is related to what? So the options are RHBJKD, RHJBKD, TJLDMF, TJDLMF. So first let us find out the relation between FIELD and GJFME. So for F, if you add 1, you get G. And for I, if you add 1, you get J. And for E, if you add 1, you get F. And for L, if you add 1, you get M. And for D, if you add 1, you get E. So here, for every single letter, you have to add 1, and you will get the second pattern. So here similarly for S, if you add 1, you get T, and for I, if you add 1, it is J, and for C, if you add 1, it is D, and for K, if you add 1, it is N, and for L, if you add 1, it is M, and for E, if you add 1, it is F. So the answer is TJDLMF, which is option number D. And the ninth question is, MUMBAI is to LTLAZH. Similarly, DELHI is to what? So the options are CDKGG, IHLED, CDKGH, BCKGH. So first let us find out the relation between MUMBAI and LTLAZH. So here from M, if you subtract 1, you get L, and from U, if you subtract 1, you get T, and from M, if you subtract 1, you get L, and from B, if you subtract 1, you get A, and from A, if you subtract 1, you get Z, and from I, if you subtract 1, you get H. So here the pattern is you have to subtract 1 from each letter. Similarly, if you subtract 1 from D, it is C, and from E it is D, and from L it is K, and from H it is G, and from I it is H. So the answer is CDKGH. And the last question is, so here you have to find out the first term. So first let us see the second term, that is WOULD is related to TLRIA. So you have to find out the first pattern. So that first let us understand what is the relation between this second pattern. So WOULD is to TLRIA. So if you add 3 to T, that is if you add 3 for the letter T, you get W, and if you add 3 for letter L, you get O, and if you add for R, you get U, and if you add 3 for I, you get L, and if you add 3 for A, you get D. So here for every letter you have to add 3. Similarly, if you add 3 for A, you get D, and for L you get O, and for K you get N, and for L you get O, and for O if you add 3, you get R. So the answer is DONOR, which is option number D.